Hello, welcome back to another tutorial. Today we're going to be talking about other methods. So what a method is kind of like a paragraph when you're actually writing. So when you learn to write normally, like in an essay or something, you started off writing short paragraphs, and that's kind of what we have been doing with the main method. Is we've been writing one giant paragraph writing all of our code in one method, and that is going to be our program. Well, as your essays got larger, we ended up separating our different ideas and saying, hey, this little part is about this, and that we created a multiple paragraphs for our essay, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing with adding other methods. So what is a method and how can we use it? Well, a method is what is this pretty much decoration here. So we have a main method, and there's a couple parts to this. The first part is public. This tells us a scope. We'll talk more about scope later. We have static, and this becomes very important when we're talking about object-oriented programming. We're not at the moment, but it will become very, very important in the future. So we're going to actually be treating these two keywords as a given in our program currently, and then we'll talk about when do we need them, when can we change them, and stuff like that. What we're going to be really talking about in this particular video is this part here. Void, main, and then what we call, this is called arguments, and that's why we have args kind of right here. So let's talk about this for a second. The first part I want to talk about is this main part. Okay, this main part here is the name of the particular method that we're going to be using. So this one's called main. Main is always going to be the starting point of our program no matter what. So we're not going to be using any other place to really start our program other than this part. This void is a return type, and we're going to get to that today as well. It's what do we send back to the main program after we're done running a particular method. And the what's inside the parentheses is what we call arguments. And currently we have actually been using methods already. So let's actually, but we just haven't been writing them. So let's write ourselves our first method. And the way we're going to start it off is we're going to do public, static, and we're going to do an integer. You're going to do int, and we're going to do multiply. Actually, let's make it a little bit more to the power. Okay, and we're going to take in an integer called x, and we're going to take an exponent called x, and we're going to have that in there. So what this means is, I'm going to return right now a -1. And let's talk about what this means. We have a method that returns an integer called to the power, and we have to put in an integer and an integer into this particular program. So in order to call this, let's say we're going to do system.out. Actually, to call this, we're going to create an integer called result. We're going to have this equal to the power. And we'll just do 10 and 2 for now. We know that answer. That answer is 100. And we're going to do system.out.println, and we're going to do result. We'll just print out the result. So if we happen to run this, what the answer is going to be is -1. Okay, so we've got -1. Why did we get -1? Well, we passed the 10 in for x and 2 in for exponent, and then all we do is return -1. We don't actually calculate an answer. So a way that we can calculate the answer is by using a for loop. That's an easy way to calculate exponent, because we need to do x times x times x times x until we actually get the correct value. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to create an integer called answer. We're going to set that equal to 1. And then we are going to have a for loop in here. So int, so that's our starting point. I is less than exponent I plus 1. And then we're going to do answer times answer equals answer times x. And every time we go through the loop, we'll get the answer. And then we're going to return the answer once we're done. So the way this would work is we would pass a 10 in for x, a 2 in for exponent, and then we'll come over here. So then we're inside of our program here, and then we'll do answer, which is 1, times 10 is equal to 10, save it as answer, increment this again and do it again. So 10 times 10 is 100, save it as answer, and then we've already ran it twice, so then we return the answer. So let's run this, make sure this runs how we want it to. It says 100. Let's test this out a little bit better. Let's do 4. Okay, that's pretty easy. That would be 10,000. So we run this again, and we got 10,000, which is perfect. Alright, so let's do this again, and I will do, let's create another method. So we have an int that says we're going to return an integer. Now let's do something here. Let's create another variable, and we'll return a double this time, and we'll call this 2 the 2's. Okay, and what this particular method is going to do is take in an integer and take in a value, and basically these two values are going to keep on dividing by 2 x amount of times, and then we're going to return the double value. So we're going to create a double, same way that we did before. We're going to set that equal, and we're going to call this answer. We're going to set it to x, and then we're going to do, then we're just going to loop it around dividing by 2. So we're going to have int equals 0, and we're going to count all the way up to the value, and then we're going to divide by 2. So we're going to have answer equals answer divided by 2. Boom. And then we're going to return the answer. So let's do this real quick. We're going to have a double called result2 equals 2 the 2's, and let's take in a value of 100, and then we will do it 3 times. So that would be 25. So half of 100 is 50, half of 50 is 25, and actually we have to keep on going further than that. That would be 12 and a half. So let's make sure that that's correct. So we're going to print that out, system.out.println, and we're going to result 2. So this should be the second number that prints out. So we'll have 10,000 print out, then the answer to the 2's. So let's run that, and we get 12 and a half. Perfect. And we can change this around a little bit. Let's change this to 10 and see what happens. Divide it by 100 by 10 times, and this time we get a very, very low number, which is a double, which is great. You can actually return any type of value that you would like. So as long as you put this variable type here, if you wanted to return a scanner, you could return a scanner. If you wanted to return a string, go for it. Eventually we'll be making custom values, so we can or custom variable types, so we're more than welcome to return anything we want there. Now what if we don't want to return anything? Well, we can actually just look at the main method, because it actually returns void. Okay, void is what it is, and it's actually a null or a nothing. It returns nothing. It returns a void in there. So hopefully I helped you introduce you guys to methods today. We'll be doing a little bit more. We'll talk about method overloading and changing up our arguments, or not having any arguments in our particular methods. And we'll completely change the way that you write your programs. So thank you guys for watching, and I will